G'day Formula One fans. Are you hungry for more action? Well, there you go, Mick, the cringiest intro ever. Look, are you ready for this weekend? It's good to get some back-to-back races, but the last one before we go into the midsummer break.
Worst intro ever, but gold at the same time. I like it. It's fucking terrible, but it was so good at the same time. Yeah, man. Look, the last race weekend before we get into the summer break, is it Colapinto's last race? You know, you got drivers like Yuki too, man, who are looking to go out on a bit of a high. Kimi, he's under a bit of pressure as well, so he'll be hoping to have a good weekend just to go into that summer break with a clear mind. Man, it's a bull ring. We run like those Monaco-style downforce levels, so I think Saturday, important, super important.
Yeah, they what do they call it? Monaco without the walls. So,
Yep.
Saturday, big one. Probably one of the most important Saturdays on the calendar. Of course, qualifying position is going to be mega here. We may get some mixed weather conditions, which could spice the race up if they choose to run the cars in the wet. Look, man. I'm pretty sure. Look, we won't delve into what happened over on the weekend with Spa, but it's a different circuit. I think the wet conditions here are definitely not as dangerous as they are in Spa, of course. Yeah. But it would be nice to get some changing conditions that will just throw things up, because historically we don't get the most exciting races here. We've had a few.
I mean, if we get the mixed conditions or the rain, come on Saturday, come in qualifying, because that's when it spices I think has more of effect on the race, because it spices up the grid, mixes it up quite a fair bit. And like you said, the racing is not that great. I think last year there was only 33 overtakes and most of those were into turn one. So if we get rain, well, I don't like.
Yeah, Saturday would be good.
Yeah, Saturday is the preferred day for rain. Weather gods, if you're listening, Saturday, man. Leave Sunday alone. Let's just go rain on Saturday, please.
Just no red flags, not too much rain. When you're looking at the results of last year, I mean, you can't go past McLaren, pole by Lando, and then a nice win for Oscar. Look, we expect McLaren domination here again, unless, again, maybe the rain during qualifying might spice it up a little bit. But I don't see anything different. We get dry conditions. Obviously, Team Papaya is the favourites, of course. But I'm really interested to see how those drivers you mentioned at the start, Franco Colapinto, guys like Yuki Tsunoda, Kimi Antonelli. It's a really important race going into mid-season.
Most of these drivers, man, will want a really good performance to go into that summer break. When you look at the McLaren boys, both of them will be looking to go into the summer break with a win. And I think when you do that, I think it's quite a mental win over your teammate. Colapinto, like I said, is it going to be his final race? Has Flavio made a decision? I kind of feel like he has. And I think he made that a few races ago, which is a shame because we said, we'd love to see him get the whole season. Yuki, man, we saw the positive side when he got that floor update and he seemed to have found a bit of performance and he was quite buoyed by that. So I think this weekend, maximum attack from Yuki. If I'm Yuki, I'm almost like win it or bin it. Like, you've got to score maximum points. So you seem to have found something with the new upgrade. Now you've got to capitalize and you need to score as many points as you can. Do that, and I think it'll just take a little bit of the pressure off. Kimi, just no mistakes this weekend. That's simple as that. No mistakes. I don't even know how competitive Mercedes are going to be if you go off their last few Grand Prix. So.
And with Pirelli, what are they bringing this week? Because I haven't had a look. We didn't really get to see, I think, the best of what they tried to do last week with the gap in compounds.
Yeah, so this time around in Hungarian, it's just the usual. We're going the C3 is the hard, C4 the medium, and C5 the soft. Last year it was a two-stop race, so they don't need to try and mix things up strategy-wise to try and make the racing a little bit more dynamic. It's going to do that naturally with a two-stop race. Hotter track temps also, so, C5 would probably be your qualifying tyre, and then your C4 and your C3 will be your race tyres, I would imagine. I could be completely wrong, but that's the way I would say most teams would go.
I wouldn't say the high, but it's, they're forecasting 27, 26 degrees around there, 23 on the Sunday. But it looks like sun with a cloud, so I guess it depends on the cloud cover. I mean, if the sun is directly out, it'll bake the track pretty well.
you're probably looking, like you said, if the sun bakes the track, you're looking around 40, maybe up to 50 degrees track temp.
Well, let's just get stuck in. We'll go team to team. We'll rip through it. It's crystal ball stuff, of course, with a preview. McLaren straight away. I mean, we just touched on it. If there's no weather variation, it's probably a 1-2 regardless. Qualifying, race, unless there's a mechanical failure. They're definitely clear favourites. Who do you think will get the upper hand, though, going into the midsummer break?
I'm going to just disagree with you there. I don't think they are clear favourites. The higher downforce levels, no long, big straights. Max might play a pretty big factor this weekend. In terms of who I think is going to get the upper hand, look, like I said, both drivers will be wanting to get the upper hand going into the summer break. It's a big mental win over your teammate if you can do that. I just think Oscar, man, he's less mistakes when it matters.
It's a hard one because when you think Oscar gets the upper hand, Lando seems to be able to bounce back. When it counts, when he's behind and he needs to make, put in the big race weekend he does, it's a tough one.
Yeah, and also you got to remember Norris we were saying Spa in terms of results hasn't been one of his best circuits. He's coming to Hungary where he's had a couple of podiums here. It's definitely a track that suits him a little bit more. Oscar got his first win here. So it's a tough one between these two. And I think this one between those two is going to be, oh man, it's whoever can minimize the mistakes, firstly on Saturday and then come race day. And whoever gets in to turn one first is going to have the upper hand when it comes to strategy.
So Oscar gets the win, and let's just say Lando with the P2. What's that? 16 plus 7?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's 23.
So 23 points. So, I mean, it's a handy lead if Oscar can do that. I mean, it's almost a race win there. I think Oscar has the upper hand, but every time I've thought this, Lando comes back and surprises me. So it's just very close to call.
It's hard to tell because when you look on the face of it, you see Oscar and he's just level, man, the whole time, right? And he gives very little away. Whereas, you feel like mentally you go, yeah, Oscar's so much stronger.
What's the way they both project themselves, right?
Yeah,
to the outside world. Yeah.
So on the face of it, you feel like, oh, Oscar's got it all over him every day of the week, but that's certainly not the case. And yeah, like you said, that 23 points, that's got to be a big psychological marker because, like you said, that's almost a full race win ahead, right? It's going to be good between those two. Like I said, it's going to be fine margins.
Okay, Red Bull, you think Max Verstappen's going to be a nuisance for the rest of the season? And I can't disagree with that. He's going to be the potential wedge between both McLarens. Yuki, he does need to build on what we saw on the qualifying for Spa. I mean, he was unlucky not being able to pick up points. He was definitely in a position to, not through his own fault, of course, but he needs it. He needs another Q3 and he needs another top 10. Well, he needs the top 10. And I think it's a good foundation for him to then get through the summer break and then be quite optimistic for the rest of the year.
Yuki, balls to the wall, man. Like, I think just win it or bin it. Just try and get as many points as you can. Like you said, capitalize on that performance gain that you seem to have found in Spa with the new floor. Max, I think Max is going to play a big part here this weekend, I reckon. We've seen he's quite good at splitting the McLarens, especially in qualifying. And I think he's got a real shot at doing that again. When we take away the long straights, there's no need to run a low downforce package. The only thing that may play against him is if we do get the hotter track temperatures. And Max has had a couple of wins here, so he's good around here. I think he's going to be really, really strong this weekend.
Ferrari, again, I think this weekend will be pretty interesting just based on that rear suspension upgrade. Perhaps in the lower speed stuff, we see a better indicator of whether the performance is there. Lewis will obviously be wanting to have a massive weekend after, pretty disappointing last time out. And he's won 8 races here, I think it is. So expecting big things from Lewis.
Lewis, it's a track that he definitely loves. Like you said, that 8 wins. It'll be interesting to see if they found some of that low speed performance, if this suspension upgrade has worked. And again, if they can get that car into the window, we know it's quick. Look, they don't have the pace to match McLaren. And I'm not sure if they will have the pace to match Max. Look, Charles has had a couple of fourth places around here. In terms of results, it's not his best, but we have seen his one-lap pace is mega. He's got an opportunity to put it in the top 3, I think, for qualifying. And if he can do that, then he'll certainly go a long way to putting himself on the podium. I think Lewis will be super close with Charles this weekend. I mean, he was on pace with him in Spa. It was just a scrappy weekend by him overall. It's an interesting one for Ferrari.
Yeah, that might dark horse this week. I think they're going to surprise a few people with performance. In saying that, I've probably jinxed them because quite often I have these little... My intuition tells me this.
Yeah, look, there's certainty for double points, but I don't know if they have the pace to be challenging for a win. Well, they don't have the pace to be challenging for a win, I don't think. It's going to take a mega qualifying
They need a lot of
effort.
luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of luck as well. Mercedes, don't know what we're getting from Mercedes anymore. They started off really consistent, and like George Russell mentioned post-race in Spa about the direction that they've taken over the last few months is clearly the wrong way. I don't know if they can, revert back. Do you think the higher downforce track is going to play into their hands? I mean, if you look at last year's results, I know it's not always an apples comparison. Lewis Hamilton picked up P3, but if you look at the qualifying, it wasn't crash hot for Mercedes. But what do you think?
If we base it on current form, it's going to take a mega effort for George just to get to 5th. Cooler temperatures, hotter temperatures seem to affect them. George's side, man, George just does what George does, man. Even when he's not happy with the car, he can still sort of get some sort of performance out of it. Kimi, man, I think this weekend, look, yes, score points. That is your first thing. But I think apart from that, I think it's more just no mistakes, man. Just literally a mistake-free, quiet weekend.
Target is just a Q3 appearance for qualifying. Doesn't matter if you're a few tenths off George. Don't try and match him. Don't try and exceed him. Just reiterate, clean Q3 appearance, top 10 finish. Even if you're a few places behind George, I think it's a good step in the right direction just to get back out of the little hole he's sort of got himself in. Let's go Racing Bulls. Pretty decent weekend out in Spa. Obviously, a good performance from Liam Lawson. Even Isaac Hadjar was fast all weekend. They're good enough to crack top 10s, but to get both drivers in, that's essentially the goal. It's stating the obvious. It's easier said than done because we haven't seen it with a lot of teams being able to consistently do that. Look, I just expect Liam to just keep building on what he's been doing over the last few races. Hadjar, again, will be super fast on Saturday, we always know. I'd love to see them both top 10 finish.
For me, if they both don't score points, that's a fail for me because they do have decent performance with the higher downforce package. We've seen now Lawson into a groove. They're definitely quick enough, I believe, to get into Q3. No issues, no mistakes, good solid race performance. There's no reason both of them should not be scoring points. And we keep saying it, this midfield battle is so tight. Both drivers need to be scoring points.
Which basically means 2 Q3s. Another team that's in the exact same boat as Williams. I think Carlos just needs a little bit of luck to swing his way. Albon, good race out last time, but again, it was a very inconsistent weekend last time out for both sides of the garage. They need a good double points finish. They're due. Definitely due.
Another team, if they don't both score points, that's a fail. Whether the temperature is going to be hotter than, say, somewhere like Spa. So we'll see if those cooling issues rear their head again. Albon, man's been lights out pretty much all year. Sainz will definitely want a better weekend than he had. Yes, he showed the pace on Friday and Saturday in Spa, and I think he'll be looking to recreate that again this weekend. He needs to.
Yeah, he needs a bit of luck to swing his way, but also he needs to string a few good performances together as well. Because I would say there's a little bit of pressure on him to perform because when you look at the points table now between Albon and Sainz, and I know that the points table doesn't always tell the full story, but there is quite a big gap there now. I think Sainz will be looking at that. He'd be pretty disappointed where he is relative to Alex. He'll be looking for, a massive second half of this season to close that gap. And, we even said in the pre-season, one of the first ever podcasts we did, and we thought that Sainz coming was going to be very interesting to see how Albon would react to him, because Albon has had such, you could say, a pretty easy time of it with regards to teammates for the last few years. But Albon just, it's like his level, his game has just took the next step. It was just like he needed someone on that side of the garage to be like, oh, he's a threat. I've got to step my game up. And, we did mention a few races back about how much more testy is Albon over the radio. Seems a bit more serious, eh?
The team as a whole, there's a bit of pressure on them this weekend because we've seen the last lackluster sort of performances over the last couple of weeks. Also, too, we might get a better read on that aero package upgrade that they did bring to Spa. See how it goes in a higher downforce configuration, if it helps them. They certainly look like they made a step forward, and they seem to sort of be around that best of the rest again where, we know they have been. I think for Vowles, it's a big weekend because he'll want to go into the summer break off the back of a strong performance.
Now, Kick Sauber, potential top 10 here. Be interesting to see how they go in the higher downforce configuration, of course. Bortoletto starting to string together a few top 10s. Hulkenberg, we know what he can do when he gets it right. What do you think they feature this week?
Building on what they've already done so far in the last 5-6 races, is to see if they can continue that form. Gabby's just got to continue doing what he's doing. The performances are going to come off the back of that. We saw how good he was in Spa. He basically carried that team. So he'll come into this weekend with a shit ton of confidence, which is good. Hulk, man, yeah, like you said, if he gets it right, we can see what he does. It'd just be interesting to see if they can continue that form. Because at the moment, like we said, they've certainly been the best of the rest. They just need to continue doing what they're doing. I think their trajectory is, they're definitely on the right track.
Now, on the other side of the spectrum, if you base it on Spa, Aston Martin, horrible last time out, probably the worst race weekend of the year so far. You couldn't get two more different tracks, configurations. So this week, I definitely don't expect them to have those same issues. Alonso, first ever win here over 20 years ago, 2003. A long, long time. You've mentioned to me before about how Alonso's done pretty well around here. So he would factor. I mean, he factored pretty heavily that time to give Ocon a win back in the day by holding up, I think it was Lewis Hamilton. So he's handy around here. He knows how to get the elbows out.
For me, it's just going to be interesting to see what they turn up with, what sort of car they turn up with. Are they going to have any sort of performance? Because last time out, man, holy, that's a pretty expensive tractor they were driving around. You know what I mean?
I mean, the quickest Aston out there, really, that looked the best was the safety car.
The safety car, yeah, no, exactly right. So Alonso, like you said, man, he's done well here. He's had his first win. I think he's scored points in the last 5 out of 6 races here. Even Stroll's done pretty well. He's had a couple of top 10s here. So we know when the car's decent, they're quick, especially on one lap. Race pace, probably not so much. But I think if the car's decent, they might play a factor in qualifying.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a Spa situation. I have a feeling that was very much track specific. But if it does, it generally means like somewhere along the lines I've gone into a massively wrong direction, because if your car's bad in sort of a lower downforce Spa circuit, high speed, and then you come to the complete opposite and you're bad there, then it's like, well, car's not looking good. And it's interesting because, they were one of the teams that had bought a few upgrades, and it looked like the trajectory was going in the right direction. So I think it was an anomaly last time out in Spa. So I definitely expect them to factor more heavier this weekend. Now, Haas, Ocon, it's his only win in F1, isn't it? That he got here in 2021. He'll be hoping to go pretty well here. And Behrman, does he just continue his sequence of P11 finishes?
They've publicly come out and said that, the medium speed stuff is probably more of their Achilles. And yes, it's higher downforce, but it is sort of lower to mid speed downforce level corners. We saw how quick they were in Spa. So it'll be interesting to see if they can sort of match that kind of performance again. Like you said, Ocon, 2021, he's got a love affair with the circuit, naturally. They just need good qualifying. Like we said, it's going to be a qualifying race. So qualifying is going to be super important. Look, we know Behrman's going to be good in the race. Just interesting to see if they fix that medium speed, slow speed performance that they were struggling with.
And finally, Alpine. Well, we know we're going to get a good performance generally from Gasly. He extracts maximum out of the car. We mentioned at the start, Franco Colapinto, potentially his last race. Again, obviously there's a lot of speculation around that. Flavio has never really been clear. It's always been very ambiguous. I mentioned in the post-race video for Spa, even a good performance here, I don't know if it's enough. Even if it's a top 10, I mean, it would be really great because he hasn't picked up a point so far this season. But is that enough to convince Flavio if he is thinking about a driver change mid-summer break?
No, look, I think secretly Flavio's probably already made a decision. It would not surprise me if he's gone come the next fortnight after this weekend. What is a good performance? What do they class as a good performance for Colapinto? You would have to say at least a Q2 would be the start of a good performance. You can't get knocked out in Q1, but is the car good enough?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know what he can do. There's apart from not crash and make any mistakes, I don't feel like Alpine has the performance. Yes, we know Gasly's going to be able to drag maximum and potentially get himself into Q3 again. He's had a couple of DNFs here too in the last couple of years, so he'll definitely want, not a DNF because he has to, because at the moment he's the only one carrying that team and he can't afford to have DNFs. Right? We saw the impact it had in the sprint race where he missed the start and then he doesn't have the teammate to be able to back him up, and it's hard, man. It's shit for him, dude, Colapinto. Because it just sucks. Like, I want him there till the end of the season, but his confidence is shot. So I don't even know what is a good performance for him and what he would class as a good performance.
If Flavio does make the change, who is your driver that's going to come in and replace? Because obviously there's a lot of speculation around Bottas and a few other drivers. Purely speculation. Who have you got?
Oh, again, that's a hard one, right? Because there's talk of him even bringing Jack back. Now,
I'd love to see Jack back and just be given, you've got to the end of the season, kid. Just do what you need to do. Yeah. Redemption.
Yeah, 1,000% would be amazing to see Jack get that second chance and be given the time to build and see what he can do by the end of the season. Bottas, I'm not sure, because the rumours are now around Bottas that he's signed a potential contract with Cadillac, so I don't know how that affects the drive with Alpine. Really don't know. Look, there was talks of Mick Schumacher.
And even the rumours of that he's signing with Cadillac.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't know.
It's hard. It's hard.
If I was, again, easy to say, if it was me, I'd give it back to Jack. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but I mean, they would have someone in mind.
You've got Aaron waiting in the wings. It's a tough one because I'd like to see them all given a shot with a guarantee that you're there until this point.
Yeah.
Because Jack never got that. Colapinto, I don't think, has got that. So it'd just be nice, even if they stick with Colapinto, it's like you're guaranteed to the end of the year. Yeah. Or if they bring Jack in, you're guaranteed to the end of the year. You can't just be chopping and changing all the time. Yeah. And I think from a confidence point of view for the driver, it takes a while to get up to speed, get used to the tires, the machinery, etc. And then you're against Gasly, who's performing really well. He's performing pretty consistently well. And Flavio probably is a little bit more on the old school side of sink or swim.
Yep.
Definitely.
The mental battle, man, of like having to go into a race weekend and go, shit, is this my last race? When realistically you need to go in there with a clear mind and just focus on driving well. But when you've got that floating over over your head, surely it's got to play a part in the way you perform. Because we've seen it. Like, we've seen a bit of desperation in the last few weekends from Colapinto possibly sort of just overdriving the car because he's desperate to prove himself. I'd love to be in his shoes, but I wouldn't love to be in his shoes. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's tough.
Yeah.
On the surface, love to see Jack back, given a proper fair crack, but at the same time, would love to see Colapinto just be given a clear, you're here to the end of the season.
Yeah.
Just, these are your targets. Gasly hits a Q3, you've got to be in the Q2s.
Yeah.
If Gasly can get to P10, well, you need to be around P12, P13,
Because that's the thing, right? We don't even know what a good performance from Colapinto was meant to look like. Like, yes, we know Briatore said, yes, he needs to be fast, not crash and score points. But it's
it's not easy to score points in that car.
That's exactly right? Yeah. So what do you got to be fast? Then you try and drive fast and you make mistakes and you crash because that car's not easy to drive. So I don't really know what a good performance for him looks like.
It's a big one this week because if he crashes or if he has an absolute shocker, I think that's it. Yeah. I think Flavio will make that decision. Like you said, you think he's already made that decision regardless of the result. So, but it will be just good. If it is, I hope he leaves on the high.
Yeah.
With a good result. Yeah. Because generally people always remember your last result.
Yeah.
Well, as we do, quick predictions. Look, I'm going straight away with Piastri, Verstappen, Norris.
I'm exactly the same. I'm not going to...
He splits them.
Yeah, that's, for me, that I think, like I said, he's going to be a real ball ache to these boys this weekend. I think, he's going to be a real nuisance. So, yeah, I've got him splitting the McLaren boys this weekend between Oscar and Norris. One of them will want to leave with the upper hand.
Yeah.
But I think it's more, okay, yes, the points advantage that Oscar could get and the points advantage that Norris could claw back. But I think this weekend, it's more of a mental fight.
That's the key thing. You go into this midsummer break. If you're Lando, you get gapped even further. That's a tough thing because you try and go away for those 3 weeks and not think about racing, but in your mind, the guy next to you has an edge on you.
Yeah.
And you're thinking all the time how you reel that back. And I think Piastri would just walk away over the summer break, just clear mind. He can just do what he needs to do, refocus, come back.
Yeah, but
so I think it's more important for Lando this week.
Yeah, when you think of it like that, it's a bigger weekend for Lando because he's got a lot more to lose and a lot more to gain. Look, Oscar's still going to walk away with the championship lead. Norris, it's definitely going to affect him more, confidence-wise. If he wins, it's a big boost in confidence. I think if he gets beaten, mentally,
yeah, he'll dwell on it.
It's going to be a bitch slap, right? It's going to affect him a lot more, I think.
Well, big one. Still plenty of stories to look at. Naturally, Franco Colapinto, how his performance is, Yuki, if he can bounce back, Antonelli, if he can regain a bit of confidence, and of course, the top two guys up front, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. Any final thoughts?
We're going to the bull ring, 70 laps. I think it's going to be a cracker up the front and in the midfield as well.
I think you said that last week too, the Spa.
Well, yeah, then don't listen to me.
No,
then.
we're due. We're due for one.
We're due a good race. So let us know who you think your top 3 would be. Do you think Colapinto's safe or not safe? Do you think Kimi can bounce back? Let us know in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe. Until the next one, catch us later.